When people hear the name He Xiangu, they usually picture a gentle maiden floating on a cloud, holding a pink lotus blossom, the only female figure among the legendary Eight Immortals. In popular folklore and television dramas, her story is always the same. Master Lu Dongbin encounters her on a misty tea mountain, offers her a magical peach of immortality, and she effortlessly ascends into the heavens. For 3 centuries, this tale has been repeated through marketplace operas and theatrical scrolls until it became an absolute truth in the public mind. But if we open the authentic Taoist scriptures of the Tang and Song dynasties, tearing away the romantic sugarcoating of later fiction, we encounter a startling reality. This story of the immortal peach is merely a beautiful lie invented by ancient storytellers. The historical He Xiangu was not a passive damsel waiting for a deity's charity. She was a fiercely independent woman who used a harsh, unyielding method to shatter her mortal limitations, becoming a soaring immortal through her own sheer willpower. Today, let us follow the ancient ink of the Taiping Guangji and the records of southern Yu to uncover the true journey of this supreme female deity. Historically, He Xiangu's origin splits into 2 highly authoritative classical accounts. The earliest and most reliable lineage places her in Zhengcheng, Guangzhou during the Tang dynasty. The Song dynasty geographical masterpiece, Taiping Huanyuji, explicitly quotes a Tang record stating, "During the reign of Empress Wu Zetian, a woman of the He clan consumed mica powder and achieved liberation upon Mount Luofu." Another account claims she was a merchant's daughter named He Xiangu from Hunan, who originally made a living weaving hemp shoes and practicing divination. Yet, whichever origin you track, before the fictional explosions of later centuries, every Orthodox scripture agreed on one fact: the catalyst for her transcendence was never it was something cold, mineral, and unyielding. Mica powder, the sacred text, records her turning point at the age of 15. She dreamed of a divine figure who instructed her that the jagged mineral stones along Mica Creek could grant her absolute lightness and longevity. Upon waking, this young girl displayed a profound resolve rare even among men. She did not sit around waiting for a miracle. Instead, she went directly to the creek, gathered the brutal mineral stones, ground them into fine dust with her own hands, and began consuming them daily. In Taoist internal alchemy, consuming raw mineral powder daily is a torturous restructuring of the physical anatomy, a brutal discipline meant to purge every ounce of heavy mortal sludge from the physical body. Through this extreme physical discipline and spiritual isolation, she made a social declaration that shocked the rigid feudal world of her time. She took a sacred vow never to marry. She abandoned the noisy village and moved into complete isolation deep within the mountain gorges, ignoring the whispers of society. As time passed, her body underwent a total metamorphosis. She entered a state of absolute fasting known as bigu, permanently severing her physical reliance on mortal food and earthly desires. The ancient records note that her body became as weightless as a feather, allowing her to glide across jagged mountain ridges as if flying. Every morning, she flew like a white phoenix into the clouds of Mount Luofu to gather sacred tea and wild herbs. At dusk, she would descend back to the valleys, distributing these remedies entirely free of charge to the impoverished and the sick. She was a solitary ascetic who forged her own divinity through fasting, medicine, and an immense heart of compassion. Inevitably, her miraculous feats caught the attention of the imperial throne. Empress Wu Zetian, holding absolute power over the empire, heard rumors of this female mystic who flew across peaks and abstained from food. She issued an imperial edict, sending royal envoys and armed imperial guards to force summon He Xiangu to the capital, intending to extract her secret to eternal youth. Facing the absolute might of the throne and the immense luxury of the capital that ordinary mortals spent lifetimes chasing, He Xiangu merely offered a calm, knowing smile. According to the Taoist canon, while the imperial convoy was escorting her, they reached the banks of a roaring river. Looking at the palace officials completely bogged down by greed and worldly ambitions, the white-robed maiden suddenly vanished into a dense, shimmering mist. The ancient script records her departure in 4 simple characters: ascended in broad daylight. She completely rejected the wealth of the capital, choosing the most elegant method to sever her final tie with worldly authority. If the mortal world wished to bind her with imperial chains and societal expectations, she would simply wave her sleeve and leave an eternal legend in the deep clouds. But if her true path was the rigorous consumption of mica powder, why is she universally depicted holding a pink lotus blossom? This reveals a fascinating secret within Taoist history. In the official lineage records of Master Lu Dongbin, the first female disciple he actually initiated was a woman named Deity Zhao. Because this master always held a pure lotus during her meditations, and the word for lotus, he sounds exactly like her surname. The popular imagination eventually fused the stories of the mica-consuming He Xiangu and the lotus-bearing deity Zhao into a single cohesive figure. The lotus rises from the deep mud, yet remains completely unstained by its filth. While Lu Dongbin uses a sharp sword to slay internal demons, He Xiangu uses the soft lotus to purify and soothe the psychological trauma of the human condition. Within the Eight Immortals, He Xiangu's presence carries a massive, revolutionary metaphor of equality. She represents the group that possessed the lowest social standing in the ancient world, women. By placing her prominently within the pantheon, the Taoist tradition made a grand declaration to a cold society. The Grand Tao recognizes no hierarchy of gender, and true enlightenment requires no aristocratic lineage. The storytellers of later dynasties replaced the intense discipline of consuming mica powder with the effortless myth of eating an immortal peach, because the illiterate masses preferred a quick, miraculous spectacle over a story of grueling self-cultivation. But the historical truth offers a far grander inspiration. We honor her for her radical autonomy, her refusal to conform to societal expectations, and her choice to walk the wild mountains independently under a heavy feudal system. In our modern world, hyper-focused on material temptation, drowning in appearance anxiety and exhausted by constant mental burnout, we are all in a way like a lotus seed trapped beneath the heavy mud. We are pressured by societal timelines and chained by materialistic desires, slowly suffocating in the noise of modern life. When you feel overwhelmed by the modern chaos in the middle of the night, when you feel like the expectations of this world are crushing your spirit, remember He Xiangu. Consume your own internal immortal peach of mental resilience and boundary setting. Look past the superficial shell of appearance and fear no mud. As long as that upward striving vital energy within your spirit remains unextinguished, you will break through the darkest soil and bloom into your own unyielding divinity. Thank you for watching. If the spirit of He Xiangu resonated with your soul today, please like, subscribe, and share. In our next episode, we will focus on the enigmatic elder who rides his donkey backward, Master Zhang Guolao, and explore his deep, ironic wisdom on how to look upon the absurdities of the mortal world with absolute clarity. See you next time.